Born from the agave plant and the fiery lightning of the earth and sky, tequila has become an immortal symbol, a fusion of sweetness, smoky heat, and the proud spirit of Mexico. Every year, hundreds of millions of bottles of tequila are produced. But how exactly is this spirit made? The journey begins in the dry, sun-scorched fields of blue agave, where each plant is pried from the ground, and every sharp leaf is stripped away to reveal the heart filled with sweet nectar. From there, the piñas are taken to traditional brick ovens, where fire transforms them into tequila with a deep, smoky sweetness and a warm, distinctive finish. On another path, modern factory lines craft a smoother tequila, one that flows through bars from Mexico City to New York. And now, take a warming sip of fiery tequila and join Agriculture Insight as we embark on the journey behind this timeless symbol of passion. Born in the agave valleys of Jalisco, tequila quietly crossed borders, riding the wave of globalization to spread across the world. Each year, Mexico produces over 600 million liters, exporting to 120 countries. In the United States alone, its largest market, people consume more than half of the world's tequila, making it the second most popular spirit after whiskey. Unlike 3/4 of the world's liquors, which are distilled from grains, tequila has a truly unique origin. Born from the blue agave plant, a symbol of wildness and instinct, it was made to ignite the senses, bold, unfiltered, and full of character. But with an alcohol content of 35 to 55%, just a few shots are enough to scorch your throat and push your limits. Still, not every glass of tequila is real. The pure spirit labeled 100% de agave is often overlooked, gradually replaced by tequila mixto, a diluted version mixed with sugar and syrup to cut costs. That's why drinking tequila isn't just about pleasure. It's a test of character. To choose the right bottle, sip slowly, and savor it knowing exactly what you're drinking. So, what is it within the agave plant that creates the magic, making tequila so distinct? Let's head to the highlands of Jalisco in western Mexico, where the iron-rich red soil helps agave plants grow up to 20% sweeter than those from the lowlands. Before earning global fame, every agave begins its journey with meticulous care. It all starts here, when the mother plant produces small shoots called hijuelos, sprouting across the sun-drenched agave fields. Each year, a single plant can produce around 5 new offshoots. Farmers carefully select the strongest among them to continue the life cycle. From there, the young agaves grow slowly, drawing minerals from volcanic soil and sunlight to build up their sweet core. After about 6 years, the plant begins to mature, but only around the 9th year, when all its energy has gathered in the heart, the piña, is it truly ready for harvest. Across vast green fields where each agave plant takes 6 to 8 years to mature, the harvest doesn't rely on machines, but on human hands, the jimadores. Under the scorching sun of the Mexican highlands, they begin by cutting away the sharp leaves, leaving only the pure white heart near the plant's core. Using a koa, a tool with a round blade shaped like a machete, yet handled with the precision of a sword, they skillfully pry each heavy heart from the earth with firm, practiced strokes. This technique may look simple, but it demands endurance, precision, and years of training. For even a trace of the plant's bitter sap can ruin the flavor of the tequila. Continuous chopping, however, quickly dulls the koa blade as it strikes tough fibers and soil clinging to the roots. That's why before each new cut, jimadores sharpen it swiftly with a small steel file they carry with them, restoring just enough edge to slice cleanly without damaging the flesh. A seasoned jimador can harvest between 100 and 300 agave plants a day. And from these fields, thousands of tons of piñas are loaded onto trucks each year. bound for the distilleries where tequila's transformation truly begins. At the beginning of the journey, roasting in stone ovens is the most iconic step in the traditional tequila-making process. Workers dig deep, cone-shaped pits into the ground, line the bottom with volcanic rocks, then burn wood for hours until the heat spreads evenly throughout the pit. Once the temperature is just right, the piñas are stacked in layers, covered with dry agave leaves, fibers, and soil, creating a natural underground oven. Most artisanal brands, such as Gran Patron Smoky or Siembra Valles Ancestral, slow roast the hearts for 5 to 7 days, allowing the starches to gradually convert into sugars while absorbing the smoky, woody, and mineral aromas. This slow transformation infuses the agave with deep notes of caramel, smoke, and earth, a signature richness that no industrial steel oven could ever replicate. After roasting, the surface of each piña turns a gleaming amber hue, while the flesh inside becomes soft, aromatic, and sweet. They are left to cool naturally for several hours, allowing steam to escape and the fibers to relax. Once the temperature stabilizes, workers use hand-forged steel axes to chop the massive piñas, each weighing up to 100 kilograms, into smaller pieces. Each strike is not just an act of strength and precision, but the first true step in transforming the piña into tequila. The chopped pieces are then gathered and left to breathe for a few more hours before moving on to the next stage of conversion. At this stage, the roasted agave is taken to a traditional stone mill pit, where a massive tahona wheel, weighing nearly 2 tons, slowly rolls over each batch of softened fibers. In the past, this stone wheel was pulled by donkeys or oxen, but today it is mostly powered by slow-turning motors that preserve the rhythm of traditional milling. As the tahona rotates, a worker stands nearby, using a rake to turn, spread, and guide the agave pulp back into the wheel's path, ensuring every strand of piña is thoroughly crushed but never pulverized. The tahona doesn't just extract the sweet juice, it also retains part of the fibrous pulp, an element that gives the tequila a fuller body, natural smokiness, and a deep, lingering finish. The honey-like liquid collected from this process, called aguamiel, carries all the sugars, minerals, and aromatic compounds of the agave. This sweet nectar then flows through a network of pipes into large fermentation tanks, ready for the next transformation. The traditional method is still preserved today, but as global demand continues to rise, producers have had to adopt modern production lines, both to reduce manual labor and to maximize output. That's why our journey now takes us to large-scale tequila distilleries, where hundreds of millions of bottles are produced each year to supply markets across the world. Unlike the artisanal process, in modern facilities, the agave hearts are simply split in half before cooking. This task is still done manually. Workers wield large axes or machetes to cut through the tough cores, allowing the piñas, each weighing tens of kilograms, to steam more evenly in industrial ovens. Every decisive strike not only paves the way for mechanized processing, but also preserves the human touch, a lasting mark in the journey of creating tequila. Right after being chopped, the piña pieces are placed onto steel conveyors and carried into massive steam chambers. Inside, steam is pumped in at a pressure of around 1-2 bar, maintaining heat for many consecutive hours. This method allows the starches within the agave core to convert into natural sugars much faster than in traditional brick ovens. However, the trade-off is a cleaner but lighter flavor, lacking the distinctive smoky caramel notes once imparted by fire and volcanic stone. After cooking, the piñas are crushed to extract the aguamiel. In this stage, mechanical milling systems equipped with continuously rotating steel rollers both press and spray spring water over the fibers to fully extract the remaining sugars and aromas from the agave pulp. This method achieves up to 98% sugar extraction efficiency, making it ideal for large-scale industrial production. However, it also removes much of the natural oils and fibers. For that reason, many modern producers still preserve part of the tahona process alongside, to retain the depth of flavor and the artisanal character that define traditional tequila. At the fermentation stage, both the juice and the remaining fibers are poured into large steel tanks. The crushing process takes about 2 hours to extract all the liquid. From there, the resulting mixture is piped into huge wooden vats, where yeast is added, allowing the sugars to begin their transformation into alcohol. The yeast multiplies rapidly, consuming all available sugars and producing alcohol along with CO2. Within about 30 hours, most of the sugar has been converted into alcohol, and after 72 hours of fermentation, the mixture develops a slightly sour taste and fills the air with a rich, distinctive aroma. Immediately after fermentation, the liquid is transferred into distillation stills to separate the alcohol and remove impurities. The first distillation produces a crude spirit called ordinario, with an alcohol content of about 20 to 25%. It is then distilled a second time to refine and raise the strength to between 38% and 55%. Traditional copper stills lend warmth, complexity, and a classic aroma to the tequila, while stainless steel stills in industrial production ensure precise control and higher efficiency. This is the pivotal stage where the spirit's strength and layers of flavor are defined. Afterward, the tequila is transported by tanker trucks to aging warehouses. There, in vast cellars, more than 9,000 American white oak barrels are kept under a fine misting system to maintain humidity and prevent evaporation. The finest tequilas are aged for up to 5 years, absorbing the essence of the wood and developing a superb depth of flavor. For more complex varieties, the tequila is aged for at least 2 months or longer, depending on its quality. During this maturation, it draws in the wood's character, acquiring its signature amber color and rich, rounded taste. And after all those transformations, the final spirit is ready for bottling. But first, it must pass a meticulous quality check through tasting. Once approved, the tequila is sent to the bottling line, where each bottle is placed upside down on a conveyor and rinsed with tequila itself to eliminate any trace of impurities. After one last quality inspection, every bottle is individually numbered, allowing it to be traced back to the exact distillery where it was made. Each year, this facility ships out up to 420,000 barrels of tequila, distributed to markets across the globe. If you ever have the chance, visit the state of Jalisco, because nothing compares to standing amid endless agave fields, breathing in their distinctive aroma, and feeling the spirit of Mexico all around you. Here, tequila is more than just a drink, it's a living culture, flowing through family-run distilleries, bustling markets, lively street bars, and the free-spirited people themselves. Together they form the pure essence of Mexico, a place where every color, sound, and flavor intertwines to tell one timeless story, the story of tequila. More than just a drink, champagne is a national pride, a true symbol of the French way of life. In the 17th century, people whispered that Dom Pérignon, the Benedictine monk, was the father of champagne. In truth, the sparkling phenomenon had appeared naturally before, but But Dom was the one who perfected the technique and laid the foundation for the world-famous sparkling wine we know today. By the 18th century, what was once dismissed as a cellar flaw had undergone a spectacular transformation, becoming the king of wines and the wine of kings, closely associated with King Louis V, the French aristocracy, and later the whole of Europe. Today, champagne is often misused as a generic term for any sparkling wine at weddings, festivals, or sports celebrations. But few realize that only sparkling wines made from grapes grown in the Champagne region, crafted under hundreds of strict regulations, truly earn the prestigious AOC Champagne label, with prices reaching thousands of euros, often 5 to 10 times higher than Italian Prosecco or Spanish Cava. Currently, the giants ruling the sparkling wine world include Moët & Chandon, Veuve Clicquot, and Louis Rittera, with their most luxurious cuvées such as Dom Pérignon, La Grande Dame, and Cristal, ultimate icons of sophistication in the champagne universe. Unlike red wine, with its warmth and lingering finish on the palate, champagne enchants with its explosion of millions of bubbles, carrying the pure aromas of green apple, ripe pear, and a hint of toasted bread. Yet, this is but a single brushstroke in the grand portrait of champagne. Now, let us take you to the very first stop, the vineyards at harvest season, where every legendary bottle of sparkling wine begins its journey. One of the key reasons behind champagne's timeless value lies in its grapes. Among the hundreds of wine grape varieties across the world, only Chardonnay and Pinot Noir stand out as the most suitable candidates, providing the acidity, purity, and depth of flavor essential to this sparkling wine. And remarkably, even when these same grapes are grown in Burgundy, Bordeaux, or California, they can never replicate the true taste of champagne. Only the region's distinctive chalky soils impart that unique minerality, freshness, and balance. In other words, nature itself has appointed Champagne as the birthplace of this legendary sparkling wine. But even the finest grapes are not enough. Across tens of thousands of hectares, every single champagne must be harvested entirely by hand. This is not merely a regulation, but a sacred ritual. The official start of harvest can only be declared by a technical committee, after closely monitoring physiological ripeness, sugar levels, acidity, seed and skin condition, and the taste of the pulp. Only when all these factors reach the perfect balance is each village granted permission to begin picking. From the break of dawn, hundreds of workers spread across the vineyards. With sharp, specialized shears, they carefully snip each cluster as though handling a treasure, placing it gently into shallow wooden crates to avoid crushing. To qualify, the grapes must be intact, neither bruised nor wilted, selected right in the vineyard through the keen eyes and seasoned hands of experienced pickers. Immediately afterward, each crate is labeled with the vintage, vineyard name, and exact origin, ensuring absolute transparency and traceability. Unlike red wine, where grapes are typically crushed and fermented with their skins to extract color and tannins, Champagne begins with absolute purity. Immediately after harvest and sorting, the fresh clusters must be transported to the press house as quickly as possible, keeping the berries intact to prevent oxidation and avoid any bitterness from the seeds or skins. What makes Champagne unique is that the grapes are always pressed whole, in bunches. This long-standing tradition is closely tied to the classic coquard or basket presses, designed to spread the clusters evenly and apply only gentle pressure. Today, many producers have adopted modern pneumatic presses, which allow for more precise pressure control while still honoring the philosophy of pressing, not crushing. This stage is the cornerstone of the Champagne method, pressing with utmost delicacy to obtain the clearest, purest juice, pure enough to make white wine even from red grapes. It is the very first step, and also the reason why Champagne houses guard their pressing techniques as a vital trade secret. After pressing, the grape must undergo clarification for at least 12 to 24 hours. Winemakers may choose oak barrels, which add richness, subtle notes of butter and vanilla, and a rounded structure, particularly favored in prestigious vintage champagnes. For non-vintage cuvées, however, the juice is usually kept in stainless steel tanks to preserve freshness, purity, and the wine's characteristic fruitiness. This settling process allows solid particles, soil residues, and grape skin fragments to sink to the bottom, leaving behind a crystal-clear juice, an essential preparation before fermentation begins. The first fermentation takes place much like that of still wine. Natural or added yeasts convert sugar into alcohol and CO2. Since the process occurs in open vessels, the CO2 escapes, leaving behind a young wine with an alcohol content of around 11%. At this stage, it is not yet champagne, but merely the base wine, the overture before the grand symphony that is yet to come. If champagne were a symphony, blending would be its most crucial act of harmony. After the first fermentation, each vat of base wine carries its own character and flavor, shaped by the grape variety, the vintage, the terroir, and the method of maturation. The task of the cellar master, the maestro of the cellar, is to taste hundreds of these different base wines and combine them in perfect proportion. This process demands refinement, experience, and an extraordinary memory of taste. The goal, to ensure that every bottle of champagne expresses the house's signature style, no matter whether the year's weather was generous or unforgiving. Once blended, the base wine is transferred into special glass bottles and swiftly sealed with a steel cap, much like a beer bottle. It is here that the magic begins. The yeast starts consuming the added sugar, producing alcohol and CO2. This time, however, with the bottle tightly sealed, the gas cannot escape. It dissolves into the liquid, creating the signature effervescence of champagne. Beyond the bubbles, this second fermentation also generates lees, spent yeast cells that, as they break down, release complex organic compounds. These impart aromas of toasted bread, roasted nuts, and baked butter. Layers of flavor found only in truly fine champagne. By law, non-vintage champagne must rest in the cellar for at least 15 months, while vintage champagne requires a minimum of 3 years. In practice, many producers age their wines far longer, 5, 7, even 10 years, unlocking greater depth and complexity. After sufficient aging, the bottles of champagne enter the riddling or remuage stage. This traditional technique is designed to collect all the lees into the neck of the bottle. The riddler places the bottles on a wooden rack with angled holes, called a pupitre, and gently rotates each bottle a quarter turn every day while gradually increasing its tilt. Over the course of several weeks, the sediment slowly settles into the neck near the cap. Today, many champagne houses use gyropalettes, automated rotating machines to save time and labor. Yet in prestigious cellars, the art of hand riddling is still preserved, honored as a symbol of tradition. Riddling is a crucial step in preparing the bottles for the next stage, dégorgement, the removal of the sediment. This is the magical moment. The neck of the bottle, where the lees have collected, is plunged into a deep freezing solution, solidifying the sediment into a small ice plug. When the cap is removed, the pressure of the CO2 forcefully ejects the plug, carrying the lees out with it. The result is a crystal-clear champagne, pure and brilliant, though now slightly reduced in volume. To restore the lost liquid, the winemaker adds a mixture known as liqueur d'expédition, composed of base wine and a precise amount of sugar. This final touch defines the champagne's style: brut nature, extra brut, brut, sec, demi-sec, or doux. The level of sugar determines the taste profile, offering different sensory experiences for every connoisseur. At the same time, the artistry behind crafting the cork and wire cage, the silent gatekeepers of champagne, is equally vital. Unlike ordinary wine corks, a champagne cork is composed of several layers of natural oak bark, strong enough to withstand pressure 3 times greater than that inside a car tire. The wire cage, or muselet, serves as a suit of armor, fastening the cork securely and preventing it from bursting out under the force of the gas. Together, this duo has become an enduring symbol of champagne. Steadfast and reliable, yet irresistibly enchanting the moment they are released, marking the opening of a celebration and the beginning of joy. And when everything is complete, each bottle of champagne is sealed with a cork and secured by its wire cage. This iconic image has become inseparable from champagne itself, a universal symbol of celebration and festivity around the world. The bottles are then left to rest for several more months in the cellar, allowing the flavors to harmonize and stabilize. At last, as they emerge from the darkness into the light, champagne is ready to carry within it the legacy of years of meticulous craftsmanship. From the vineyard to the cellar, from years of meticulous aging to the resounding pop of the cork, champagne is not merely a wine, it is the very essence of French artistry, a symbol of luxury and celebration. Every bubble carries the resonance of tradition, the precision of craftsmanship, and the promise of unforgettable moments. To open a bottle of champagne is not simply to drink, but to partake in an eternal ritual of elegance. Legend has it that, in the 4th century BC, when the army of Alexander the Great marched through this land, their horses accidentally licked exposed salt rocks, leading mankind to discover the miraculous treasure hidden deep underground: pink salt. Unlike common salt formed from the evaporation of modern seawater, these pink salt deposits were created more than 250 million years ago, when ancient oceans evaporated and left behind massive layers of salt that were gradually buried and transformed through millions of years of geological activity. Despite bearing the name Himalaya, pink salt is not mined directly from the majestic mountains, but mainly from the Kira mine in Pakistan, located hundreds of kilometers away from the Himalayan range, and supplying 95 to 98% of the world's output. Each year, this mine produces around 400,000 tons of pink salt, but compared to the estimated total reserves of 6.7 billion tons, that figure is only a tiny fraction, enough to imagine the entire deposit could provide salt to build more than 18,000 colossal Empire State Buildings. Not only distinguished by its enchanting natural pink hue, Himalayan salt is also branded as a luxury salt, thanks to its content of more than 80 trace minerals, and is believed to have the ability to treat various ailments, from insomnia, stress, and depression, to digestive disorders. However, this difference accounts for only about 2%, sparking debates that the mineral content is far too minimal to provide significant health benefits, and that most of its so-called miraculous effects are in fact the result of marketing strategies. It is from these very debates that the journey of mining pink salt becomes even more valuable, revealing the elaborate process that truly defines its worth and brings this ancient mineral from deep within the earth to light. At the Kira mine, the method of extracting pink salt takes on a character entirely different from that of ordinary stone quarries such as granite, marble, or limestone. In those quarries, diamond wire saws, massive cutters, or even powerful blasts are often used to separate material quickly and at high output, with little concern for preserving the integrity of the crystal structure. But at Kira, everything unfolds with almost surgical precision. First, the miners begin by manually drilling small cavities deep into the solid salt walls, a task that requires both precision and physical strength. In addition to drilling manually by hand, the miners also operate large drilling machines, pressing them firmly against the salt walls to carve deep cavities in preparation for the placement of explosives. Once the cavities are prepared, they carefully insert 4 measured charges of gunpowder into each opening, making sure the placement is exact. The charges are then connected with detonation cords, arranged in a sequence that controls the force of the blast. Finally, when ignited, the explosives release just enough pressure to detach massive blocks of salt from the rock face, while leaving their million-year-old crystalline structures perfectly intact. Each day, through the tireless labor of around 500 miners, production can reach up to 2,000 tons of pink salt. This delicacy, combined with the room and pillar method, leaving behind massive salt columns as natural supports, has turned the mining process here into an art of preserving a mineral treasure, rather than merely an exercise in industrial extraction. After the explosives are detonated and the dust slowly settles, massive blocks of pink salt emerge, shimmering with hues ranging from pure white to soft blush and radiant rose orange. The next stage of the process relies not on conveyors or modern cranes, but entirely on human strength. The most grueling task is splitting the salt blocks with heavy iron hammers and hauling them away. Miners must carefully control each strike to avoid shattering the crystals, shaping the blocks into sizes just small enough to pass through the narrow tunnels. The briny air makes every breath a challenge, draining the miner's strength 3 to 4 times faster than work on the surface. Many compare this labor to coal mining, as both demand immense physical strength, harsh working conditions, and extraordinary endurance. Yet the difference lies in the treasure unearthed. Instead of black coal, here the miners bring forth glistening, pink gems. From the depths of the earth, crystals born from ancient oceans hundreds of millions of years ago, now continuing their journey to shine once more under the sun. When massive blocks of pink salt, each weighing hundreds of kilograms, are cut free from the rock walls deep inside the mountain, they do not go straight to the factory. Instead, workers load them onto small mine carts running on narrow tracks to be transported to a vast stockyard just outside. This stockyard plays a crucial role, acting as a giant transit hub. All the salt mined during the day is piled into towering mounds and given a preliminary sorting. The clearer, more transparent blocks with fewer impurities are set aside for premium table salt, while the darker, vein-streaked chunks are reserved for industrial use or for crafting decorative salt lamps. The stockyard also helps regulate the production pace, since the factory cannot process thousands of tons of salt at once. The mineral must be safely stored before entering the modern crushing, washing, and refining lines. Thanks to this stage of transfer and stockpiling, Cura's pink salt is not only preserved, but also quality checked right from the beginning, laying the foundation for its extraordinary transformation into the sparkling pink crystals that find their way onto dining tables around the world. From the very first step, the salt is subjected to primary sorting, a task that demands the sharp eye and skilled hands of the workers. Only the pure, translucent pink crystals of uniform color are kept, while any blocks with impurities, deep cracks, or blotchy tones are immediately discarded. Alongside the precision of human craftsmanship, the mechanical power of automated conveyor systems plays a vital role. It is this combination that allows the production line to run almost without pause, with a processing capacity of up to hundreds of tons of salt each day. After sorting, the pink salt is immediately transferred to an automated washing system. Here, high-pressure water jets are sprayed continuously across the surface of the crystals, washing away fine dust and leftover fragments from the mining stage. Below, vibrating sieves shake relentlessly to remove remaining impurities, ensuring that no unwanted particles cling to the salt. Some may wonder, doesn't washing with water risk dissolving the salt? In fact, thanks to strict control of time and pressure, the water contact is just enough to clean the surface without affecting the solid blocks. Thanks to this cleansing step, the pink crystals emerge from the tanks with their signature shimmering hue intact, while reaching the purity required for the next stage of processing. From the washing tanks, the salt moves on to the stage considered the most powerful and dramatic: grinding. The raw salt blocks are fed into massive industrial crushers, where steel rollers weighing hundreds of kilograms slowly press down, breaking the blocks into smaller fragments. In some plants, jaw crushers are used instead, with two steel plates closing under pressures of dozens of tons, powerful enough to shatter a block of salt in just seconds. Once reduced to more manageable pieces, the salt is transferred to fine grinders. Here, blades spinning at over 3,000 revolutions per minute slice the fragments into uniform granules, producing the pristine pink crystals destined to become a refined seasoning on dining tables around the world. Once finely ground, the pink salt is fed into a sealed drying system. Inside, streams of hot air circulate continuously through each grain, gradually drawing out the remaining moisture. The temperature is kept steady at 90 to 100 degrees Celsius, just enough to ensure complete drying while preserving the natural crystal structure and the salt's signature rosy hue. Interestingly, once dried and passed through advanced optical scanners, Himalayan pink salt can preserve its quality for decades without the need for any additives or chemical preservatives. By contrast, ordinary table salt usually requires anti-caking agents such as calcium silicate or potassium ferrocyanide to prevent clumping, which makes it a product that has already been processed. This very distinction is what has earned pink salt its reputation as one of the purest salts in the world. Though praised as natural and pure, Himalayan pink salt can still contain trace amounts of heavy metals, such as lead, arsenic, or mercury. For this reason, every export batch must undergo strict testing to ensure consumer safety. In reality, the salt's signature pink hue is not the result of any miracle or mysterious property, but comes from the presence of iron oxide, Fe2O3, within the crystals. The very mineral that gives it its enchanting color and distinctive commercial value. The qualified batches of salt are immediately transferred to the semi-automated packaging area, where the entire process takes place in a sterile environment. The price of Himalayan pink salt is many times higher than that of ordinary table salt. In Pakistan, a bag of pink salt may cost only a few dollars, but once it reaches international markets, the price can soar 10 to 30 times higher, and even more for finely crafted artisanal products. The salt is divided into different product lines: fine grains for culinary use, raw crystals for spa and feng shui, and large blocks crafted into glowing salt lamps. The opening stage is crystal cutting. Massive salt blocks weighing hundreds of kilograms are placed on specialized cutting tables, facing alloy blades sharp as swords, mounted on powerful engines. Throughout the process, clean water is continuously sprayed onto the cutting point. The water serves to cool the blade, wash away salt dust, and simultaneously polish the surface along the cut. As a result, the blocks emerge clear and flawless, free of cracks, meeting the strict standards required for decorative pieces and salt lamps. To achieve this level of quality, factories rely on specialized machinery, ultra-durable cutting materials, and craftsman-level skill. These demanding requirements make the processing cost of solid salt blocks 5 to 7 times higher than that of crushed salt. This is why products made from whole salt crystals are regarded as mineral luxuries, coveted by high-end spas, the elite, and even the most demanding markets around the world. When the Himalayan pink salt blocks are cut down to medium sizes of 2 to 5 kilograms, they enter the detailed crafting stage, the step that transforms a raw mineral block into a work of art. Each block is firmly secured on a grinding table or lathe. Grinding blades rotating at 2,000–3,000 revolutions per minute carefully sculpt the surface, carving curves, grooves, or patterns according to the design. Every day, millions of bottles of perfume are consumed across the globe, serving as an invisible weapon that helps people feel more confident and attractive. Few realize that this beauty ritual traces back to ancient Egypt, where perfume was used to embalm pharaohs and connect with the gods. Over 55 billion USD, that is the staggering value the fragrance industry generates each year. The 17th century marked a turning point when distillation techniques were perfected, transforming glamorous France into the cradle of modern perfumery. Today, despite the rise of hundreds of brands, France still reigns supreme in both production and export, with legendary pillars like Chanel, Dior, and Guerlain. When speaking of French perfumes, sophistication, classic elegance, and luxury remain their timeless declaration. Meanwhile, fashionable Italy has made its mark with bold creativity and individuality through Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, and Acqua di Parma. What's fascinating is that the very same bottle of perfume smells different on each person as it interacts with their skin's pH, body chemistry, and even lifestyle, creating an invisible signature that carries a deeply personal imprint. Yet, in the vast and diverse world of perfumery, lavender is not the only essential oil to be revered. At the higher end of the spectrum, rose and jasmine are celebrated as the true treasures of the fragrance industry. These two luxurious oils feature in nearly all legendary perfumes, from Chanel No. 5 and Dior J'adore to Guerlain Shalimar. And the journey to create them is no less elaborate than the making of a masterpiece. In Bulgaria, known as the Valley of Roses of the world, the harvest season for damask roses is fleeting, lasting only from late May to early June. The golden hour for picking is at dawn, when the pebbles have just begun to bloom and the essential oil concentration is at its peak. In the morning mist, farmers gently cradle each delicate bud, hand-picking them to preserve their fragile fragrance before quickly placing them into wicker baskets to avoid bruising, then transporting them straight to the distillery. Much like roses, jasmine, delicate and fragile, can only be harvested entirely by hand. In India and Egypt, the two countries that together account for 90% of the world's jasmine essential oil, the harvest is carried out like a traditional ritual. Farmers carefully pluck each blossom by hand, taking care not to bruise the petals. To preserve the highest concentration of essential oil, the flowers must be picked at night, around 2 to 3 a.m., when darkness still cloaks the fields, but the blossoms are at their fullest bloom, releasing their sweetest and most enchanting fragrance. Immediately after harvesting, the jasmine is placed into airy wicker baskets and swiftly loaded onto carts for transport to the processing facility. There, the flowers are spread out on a clean floor, evenly raked for preliminary sorting and preparation before extraction begins. Speed is critical, for even a delay of a few hours can cause the petals to wilt and their precious fragrance to fade away. Unlike lavender, which can be distilled directly with steam, more delicate flowers, such as roses and jasmine, require a more refined method: extraction with organic solvents, most commonly hexane. In this process, freshly harvested flowers are placed into multi-layered extraction vats. Hexane permeates through the petals, dissolving the aromatic molecules to produce a thick, waxy substance known as concrete. The concrete is then washed with pure alcohol to remove waxes and impurities, leaving behind the absolute oil, called rose absolute or jasmine absolute, depending on the flower. To obtain just 1 kilogram of this oil, it takes millions of blossoms, making it one of the most precious treasures, sought after for centuries by legendary perfume houses such as Chanel, Dior, and Guerlain. And once the absolutes are ready, the most awaited moment begins: stepping into the perfume ateliers, where the unique art of fragrance creation is finally revealed. From every corner of the world, barrels of fragrant lavender oil from Provence, regal damask rose from Bulgaria, and sweet white jasmine from India arrive at the perfume atelier. These are the very vowels of the fragrance symphony about to be composed. Each drop undergoes rigorous testing to ensure purity, concentration, and lasting power before entering the blending stage, the very heart of the art of perfumery. And now, our journey into the world of perfume production reaches its most important and anticipated stage: blending, the place where pure essential oils are combined to create timeless symphonies of fragrance. This is the domain of the nez, or golden noses, masters of scent, with the ability to distinguish and memorize thousands of aromas. In the laboratory, they work like true olfactory engineers, measuring every drop of essential oil, synthetic aroma, fixative, and solvent according to meticulously calculated formulas. Perfume is a three-tiered symphony: the fleeting top notes, the expressive and distinctive heart notes, and the deep, long-lasting bass notes. Yet even the slightest imbalance can disrupt the harmony of the entire composition. To become a true golden nose, one must undergo 5 to 10 years of intensive training at prestigious perfume academies, such as ISIPCA in France, before being entrusted with their own formula. With this rare expertise, the salary of a skilled perfumer can range from $60,000 to over $150,000 USD per year. And for the top masters working at luxury houses, the figure can be many times higher. But pure essences alone are not enough to become perfume. To diffuse and linger, they must be diluted. The answer lies in the combination with pure alcohol and distilled water, where the drops of fragrance are softened, shaped into their own character, and brought to a perfect balance between intensity and longevity. At this point, you might think the perfume is ready for the market. Not yet. Just like wine needs time to mature, perfume too must undergo an aging process in massive steel vats, sometimes just a few weeks, but often stretching from 1 to 3 years. Here, time itself is the silent artisan, allowing the layers of fragrance to meld together, transforming the liquid blend into an immortal masterpiece. When the aging process is complete, the solution is cold filtered to remove residues, becoming pure and crystal clear. Finally, the fragrant elixir is bottled with absolute precision, each drop measured to perfection. Caps are sealed, labels applied by hand, and flacons embraced in luxurious boxes. Thus, from fields of purple, white, and red blossoms, through the hands of artisans and the mastery of advanced machinery, these essential oils are reborn as magnificent perfumes, timeless symbols of power, allure, and the art of living.